For over 60 years, a single document, just a piece of paper, has stopped a water war between two nuclear-armed rivals. It's called the Indus Waters Treaty, and it turned a source of constant conflict into a symbol of, well, a very fragile peace. But today, that very lifeline is on the line. So let's get into the story of one of the world's most successful and now most threatened water-sharing agreements.
Okay, so our story really kicks off in 1947 with the partition of British India. When that new border was drawn, it wasn't just land that got sliced in two. A single massive river system, the Indus Basin, was suddenly split between two brand new and pretty hostile nations, India and Pakistan. And right away, this created an immediate and, frankly, an existential crisis.
You see, the geography itself was the problem. The headwaters of the rivers that are the absolute lifeblood for Pakistan's farms, they were now in India. Suddenly, the upstream country, India, had the power to quite literally turn off the tap for its downstream neighbor. India controlled Pakistan's lifeline.
And you have to understand, this wasn't just some political squabble. For Pakistan, this was an existential threat. This quote really gets to the heart of it. Control over that water meant control over food, the economy, the very survival of their new country. The stakes just could not have been higher.
So they tried a quick fix, the Inter-Dominion Accord of 1948. Basically, India agreed to keep the water flowing if Pakistan paid for it. But that was just a band-aid, not a cure. Both sides dug in, and talks for a real, permanent solution just hit a brick wall. It really looked like a water war was inevitable.
And this is where the story takes a really fascinating turn. With the two countries at a total deadlock, a third party stepped in with a completely different way of looking at the problem. Enter the World Bank. With a pretty radical gambit, what if we stop treating this as a political war and start treating it like an engineering problem?
The big idea came from an outsider, an American named David Lilienthal. After visiting the region, he proposed something revolutionary. He said, instead of fighting over how to divide the water, why not work together to develop the entire river system for everyone's benefit? It was a complete shift from a zero-sum game to a win-win.
The World Bank, led by its president Eugene Black, just ran with this idea. Their strategy was brilliant. Take the problem away from the politicians and hand it over to the engineers. The thinking was, engineers speak a common language of logic and problem solving. They could find a technical solution where the politicians only found conflict.
But let's be clear, this wasn't some magic bullet. It was a long, hard road. For almost 10 years, negotiations would start and stop. The political distrust was just massive. Eventually, the World Bank realized it had to do more than just mediate. It had to step in and basically propose the final solution itself.
So, after a decade of all this back and forth, what did that final solution actually look like? Well, it all came down to a simple yet kind of elegant concept that became known as the 80-20 deal. And here it is, the Indus Waters Treaty. It was signed back in 1960 by India's Prime Minister Nehru and Pakistan's President Ayub Khan. And its real genius wasn't in forcing them to share every river, but in cleanly dividing them up. At the heart of the deal was this super simple but effective division. The three eastern rivers, the Sutlej, Bays, and Ravi, went to India for its exclusive use. The three western rivers, the Indus, Jhelum, and Chenab, were allocated to Pakistan. A nice, clean split. But the impact of that split was anything but equal.
And here's the key to the whole thing. While both countries got three rivers, the western rivers that went to Pakistan carry way more water. So, the end result? Pakistan ended up with control over roughly 80% of the total water in the entire system. India got about 20%.
The treaty was also really smart about building in ways to make it last. For example, India could still use the western rivers for things that didn't consume water, like generating electricity. A permanent commission with people from both countries was set up to handle any future arguments. And crucially, a huge international fund was created to help Pakistan build the massive canals it needed to get water from its new rivers to its farms.
And the incredible thing? It worked. The treaty didn't just get signed, it held up. It created a peace that survived against all odds.
This is probably the most amazing fact about the whole story. The treaty is considered one of the most successful agreements of its kind anywhere on Earth. I mean, think about it. India and Pakistan fought 3 major wars over land and politics, but through it all, the water kept flowing. The treaty was never broken. For over 60 years, this single document acted as a quiet, consistent framework for cooperation, preventing what so many people thought was an absolutely inevitable war over water.
But that was then, and this is now. After all those decades of stunning success, the treaty is now on the brink. A pact that was designed for the 20th century is facing a perfect storm of 21st century pressures.
Which brings us to the really urgent question. After being so resilient for so long, why is this incredibly successful treaty suddenly facing a total collapse?
Well, the pressure has been building for years. Back in 2016, after a terror attack, India's prime minister publicly said, "Blood and water cannot flow together." That was huge. It was the first time the treaty was explicitly linked to security. Then, in 2023, India sent a formal notice to renegotiate, something that had never happened before. And the situation really escalated when, according to our source, India suspended the treaty entirely in April 2025, pushing both nations into completely uncharted and very dangerous territory.
And this isn't just talk. Things are happening on the ground. India is fast-tracking big dam projects to make sure it uses every last drop of water it's entitled to. At the same time, there's a lot of political pressure inside India, especially from Jammu and Kashmir, with politicians there demanding the treaty be scrapped entirely, arguing that it's holding back their region's development.
So what you have now is this incredibly dangerous standoff. India is pushing to change the deal, saying Pakistan's actions have violated the spirit of the agreement. And Pakistan, which depends completely on that water, is saying no, let's stick to the original terms, and has warned that any disruption to its supply could be seen as an act of war.
And all of this leaves us with one final chilling question. The Indus Waters Treaty was a brilliant piece of diplomacy designed specifically to prevent a water war. After more than 60 years of success, is its collapse now going to become the very thing that triggers one?